Okay, welcome everyone to our webinar today. The theme for today is kind of clickbaity, almost sounds like a sort of thing you might see on BuzzFeed, but it's 10 handy things hiding in plain sight. And I stand by that title, not as a sort of clickbaity thing, but it's really in the recognition that CoachAccountable is so much stuff. And frankly, we launch new features like once a week, give or take, not always major ones like engagements of last month, but little things that are just slotted in here and there in response to certain requests that we don't always get up to, documenting it and putting it on the web and announcing it like, hey, this exists now. Or if we do, gosh, there's a lot anyway. So if anyone misses it, that's completely understandable. So we look to this session as sort of an opportunity to do a little catch up. There's a lot of things that you might not know the system does that you might really like to know that the system does. So in that same, again, classic list of N things, here's 10 handy things that we think are kind of hidden in plain sight that probably no one on this call knows all 10. You probably know a few, but there's probably going to be some gems. So we will right into that. Like always, for everyone here live on the line, I don't know about you, but I thought, a lot of classes in high school and college were kind of boring because you're just kind of being lectured at monotonically, and then the bell rings and then you get to leave and maybe you'll jot down some notes. Nuts to that, I am all about full-on interruption of the teacher. I have a little agenda and some things I want to cover, but this gets really interesting and useful for everyone when you butt in with questions. So by all means, please do. With that, anyone want to butt in with questions now, or should I get into number one? All right, cool. Good to go. All right, so the first thing that I just want to put on the radar of the thing that's hiding in plain sight is the app icon install. Let me share my screen so that I can show you the process of it. I don't actually have a smartphone that I can share like screen share style on this, but let's just kind of go into a piece that you might have missed, which is first, I suspect everyone knows about branding. So we'll just go to system and then branding. And of course you can set your color scheme and all that good stuff and rename it. And we can just call it, my classic gag name is Couch Reclinable. And then the logo and icons offers this third one here, which is the app icon. So we can set an actual different icon for the app. And if you notice, that's sort of classic square thing that is those tiles that are ubiquitous on installed apps on tablets and smartphones and all the other stuff. So what you want to know is, yes, it's true, you won't find CoachAccountable in the App Store. And the reason for that is it's not nearly as cool as your own branded thing. No one wants their clients, again, Payman, for example, your Change University, you don't want them to install the CoachAccountable app. You want them to have Change University as a little thing on their phone. So from the blog, we made it really easy to get the instructions for doing this. But it's a simple matter of going to, let's see here, just here in the best of series, how to install CoachAccountable on your mobile device. Basically, here are the easy steps for you and your clients to install CoachAccountable, your branded version of CoachAccountable, more to the point, on their smartphone. It's just that they log in and then do the whole add to home screen thing. Got a couple of steps. Morgan's laid down a lovely video, and a couple steps for Android. And it's really as simple as that. So just make sure you brand it as yours and make an app icon and give it your name, because that name will appear as well on the little app name of the tile. And then just let clients know, like, hey, yeah, if you use your smartphone or tablet, just add to home screen when you're logged in and you're done. Simple as that. Nothing to find or update or install and take up space on your mobile device. And yeah, that's that. Any questions? All right, let's go on to number two. Second one is what I call negative reminders. So if you're making an action item for people, we all know what it's like to set reminders for them to get that done. So let's say plan a great webinar for next month and say that that's due next month, in a couple of weeks. So that's 3 weeks out. We might give someone a little bit of leeway in time to, have some space, right? Like 2 weeks out, we'll let them get a real reminder, and maybe 1 week out, if it's not yet done, hey, don't forget. And then maybe 3 days out, et cetera, et cetera. But what happens if the due date goes by and they've not yet marked it complete, they'll get a notification called, hey, this is now late. Again, click reply and type done to mark it complete, or log in and get it done, and then mark it done so your coach knows. You can do a nice little trick of math, which is, say something is outstanding for another week after it was due. Well, you can set another reminder, again, for your client. That's called a negative reminder. So let's say 3 days after, give them another text. And the -3 means, so -3 days before means 3 days after it was due. And that will basically trigger the system to say, hey, notification, please do this. It was due 3 days ago, i.e., hey, it's still to be done. Due date has passed, but it still matters. So here's another follow-up to that. And so you can set as many of those negative reminders as necessary to sort of help them prod and pry to get it done even after the due date has passed. It's your way of saying that even though it's late, it's still want to do it, still want to support you in doing it. And that's reminders. As always.
Is that new, John?
No, that was there since way early on. It's just, like I said, a trick of math that just kind of works. Ergo, this one is really appropriate for hidden in plain sight.
I thought I'd tried it once, but I'm glad you shared that, because yeah, I clearly didn't try it.
Well, one thing that would make it invisible, again, if someone gets this done, 1 day after, then the ones that are subsequent, as always, won't fire off. So that's, again, you can set as many of these smart ones with it, but being confident that you won't inundate them with superfluous reminders called hey, don't forget to do this. Yeah, I already did this, bugger off. That's never going to happen. Once it's marked done, the whole subsequent chain of reminders, even past reminders, will never send.
Yep.
Quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
So when we send a reminder, a notice by email, which I always do, what happens if we don't do that? So let's just say you send an action today that's due tomorrow. If you don't send a reminder, do they not get it today? They get a ping tomorrow, like your action is due?
Yeah, so you might say there's 3 classes of notifications someone might get. The middle one, I'm not going to put, but the middle one is these reminders. The last one, sort of last, but because we're messing with that, is, hey, this is now due. In fact, let me just, I want to show one quick thing that's a very relevant setting that, you can actually turn off or on as you see fit. Under notification, we'll set our notification settings for actions. So when an action becomes, we can have sort of like a bonus reminder that automatically fires, even though not explicitly set here. So that's cool. That would be like the 0 reminder. 0 weeks, minutes, or days would mean, send this. So this is one that the system will do, if you want, for your clients and or for you as you see fit. And then the third type, which is the sort of the first in that sort of chain, as you say, is the notification right here. Send Jamie a notice by email, yes or no. And this email too says hey, Jerry sent you a plan for your new action. It's called this, it's due here. You can click reply and hit done to do that as well, the initial notification message. So there's the initial, any reminders in the middle, and then the follow-up called hey, this is now late.
Gotcha. And that would be the same with worksheets. If you don't send a notice, it just pops up, because it's sort of you can assign it immediately, but then there's still, do you want to send a notification?
Yeah, similar thing. Let's go to worksheets. But yeah, worksheets and actions are very similar in that they both have the sense of being completed, and let's help them complete it by giving them reminders and, hey, this is now late notifications. So let's see.
So I guess my question on is if it's assigned immediately, are they not going to get it in their inbox unless I send a notification?
Correct.
Okay.
Because that's exactly the thing. Hey, should we tell them about this or not? Right.
Right.
Yeah. WTF check-in, assign immediately. Let's see here. And if I recall correctly, yeah, we're going to do this immediately. And then this is sort of a separate step. Hey, you want us to let us know about that? Ooh.
Yeah. Hey, Justin.
Hey, sir. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Hey, Glance, I'm going to mute you. All right, cool. All right, great question. Anything else on this one? All right, cool. Moving on to number 3, what I call course following items. This one's really easy, but I feel like it's so easy to miss if you don't know it exists. So let's look at a little starter kit thing where, just a little dummy course I've tossed off earlier. Day one might send an email out automatically at 11. Hey, welcome to your coaching program. I'm so excited for you. And maybe the next day you've got a worksheet assignment. Well, we all know how to, well, if you've ever played with this, you know how to drag items onto the timeline and just sort of build your course like that. But what you might not have known is how you can drag something to follow the completion of a worksheet. So you've got, say, for example, this worksheet, and what if we want to give them a nice little love message, say, hey, nice job on that. We can actually drag a message onto the worksheet, and you notice the little text says, add new message to follow the completion of this worksheet. Drop it on, and then we've got that whole sequence logic called, when this is complete, we drop down to the next thing. But we can't just have just one worksheet item following. We can have multiple if we feel so inclined. So maybe the completion of this worksheet should trigger a couple other action items in addition to that message. So we can drag another one on here. That's important for how you coach. And so these two things will drop off, or will be dispatched immediately when they complete this thing. We might change the nice action thing. But there's a few more things we can do. Any item that has a concept of being completed, which therefore completion triggers the next thing, can itself be a completion action for something else. So we can daisy chain, as it were. When they get this action item of ice cream, we can drag on another action onto this one. And so now we're further indented and we're daisy chaining a little sequence. Grab a napkin and wipe off your face. So there we have it, following items that can be daisy chained and multiple can be coming out of the completion of one. And also any item that itself can be completable, you can sort of wedge in there to precede the thing. So maybe before this why coaching thing, we'd like to want them to watch a little video that'll sort of tee them up for being in the right mindset to do our assignment that we've given. So we can take, again, the three things that are completable are an action, a worksheet, and a file. Actions can be marked complete, so that makes sense. Worksheets can be marked complete, so that makes sense. Files, well, what does it mean to complete a file? Well, did you access it at all? Did you download it? Did you watch it? And then doing that step, again, constitutes, this is complete, now we can dispatch whatever's next. So again, a file can go up here, and just like we could have it be a following item, if we drag it to the top here, it can be a preceding item, i.e. we're sort of building the daisy chain in the opposite direction. So precede this worksheet with a new file. And so we can just kind of hang this. And there we have it. So that's following items within courses and all the kind of cool things you can do with them.
Hey, John, I've got a couple questions on this.
Yeah, fire away.
The first one is, I think I understand why you don't allow this with messages, but I also noticed that in the stream, you can see if and when a person opened a message. So just out of curiosity, why don't you allow it with messages as well?
Because that's an excellent observation. You're absolutely right. The system does have some concept of, did you read it? Did you get it in your email? The problem with that is it's not fail-safe. Yeah. And what I mean by that is an email actually has a little image in it that is basically a little tracking beacon that when opening the email, assuming you download all the images, your browser, your email client, whatever, downloads the images, that basically sends a message back to the CoachAccountable server. Hey, this has been read. Cool, we can mark that, so we know it. But if, Gmail, they changed this behavior from the default about 2-3 years ago, but they would usually say, like, display images from sender was a link that you'd have to explicitly click if they determined for whatever reason, like, we're not going to download all the images that are in this thing, but if you really want them, you can click. That sort of don't download images by default behavior means that that's not a reliable thing. They might actually have read it, but CoachAccountable didn't get the memo, and that would stall out a course.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And then my second one, I can't say it specifically, but it seems like editing and deleting these nested items doesn't work necessarily. So if I mess up and I wanted to drag nice job up before Y coaching, I can't do that.
So true. Once it's in a sort of in a chain structure, there's no dragging to sort around the structure. The only thing that is allowed for sorting, reordering on a course timeline is to put them on sort of like, shall we say, attached to the timeline itself. So like 9 a.m., like that's the time. So we can drag it to a different day.
And there's also, I also think there's not a delete.
There is a delete. So if
in each individual one there is?
Mm-hmm. So maybe we don't want this middle action item, but we want them to grab a napkin for whatever reason anyway.
Okay.
We'll get rid of this ice cream.
Okay, my mistake. My mistake.
And then it just goes up to like, okay, well, I'll be following this thing instead of that other thing. You just delete it. Just sort of condenses the daisy chain.
Okay.
Cool.
I have just a pro tip to add. This comes up now and then. You don't want a metric to follow the completion of something else. Like, especially if you have a metric you want to start on day 1 for 30 days. If you have it following an action and that person doesn't complete the action, the metric's not going to start.
Yeah.
So you want those to be outside of the dependencies of the daisy chain.
Good one. Yeah, I actually thought it was really slick to sort of suggest actually that thing that Morgan has pointed out as a bad policy called, yeah, it's really great. You make a worksheet, that's your typical check-in thing, and they're going to do that once a week. But after the first one, where like they'll fill in 5 things that'll pipe into 5 different metrics, and then you set in motion the 5 metrics in response to that. Well, that's awesome. Except if they don't do their first day worksheet and get with the program only in week 2, and then suddenly the whole thing is stalled out. Oh no, sorry guys. Yeah, good one, Morgan. All right, next up, number 4, add-ons. This is sort of something stealthily added about a month ago.
Yes.
Basically, under my account, assuming you're the account owner, it doesn't apply to Team Edition coaches if you don't own the account, but here you can basically switch on and off features as you see fit. So I think these 4 are all really great, including the newest addition to this mix engagements. But if you don't care at all and want to streamline your interface, by all means, shut them off. You just click, 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 and then like here's the little invoicing thing, and it just goes away. And so when I get back to the home screen after I turn those things off, courses and groups are gone. Maybe I just know that I'm never going to care about those things. Okay, cool. And the little engagements icon here is just gone. It's not around. It's not available. It's sort of, again, taking off things. If you don't need the kitchen sink, feel free to take a few things off. Just don't accidentally be like, oh, I lost my courses. Well, you turned them off. So that gives you a little more power and flexibility to have things streamlined as you see fit, which is kind of fun. All right. Any questions about that? Straightforward. I like it. Okay, number 5, the coaching hours log. Got a request not too long ago. In fact, every now and then it's come on radar that the ICF has a very specific formatting for coaching hours. If you're doing a coaching training with accreditation, you need to log your hours to sort of verify and show your work and demonstrate that you've done the hours that merit the accreditation. And CoachAccountable happily has most of that data. If you use it for doing your appointment scheduling, you've got a record of the past appointments that have happened, and that record basically translates into that log of who you talked to and how many hours have you accrued, and was it group coaching or individual coaching. So we can go actually to the reports page and see a new report that is just right for generating, which is go reports, appointments, and coaching hours log. And you see here, we can just kind of go back as far as we need to and get all these things and see the number of appointments per person and the number of hours. And it all just comes out of the wash. If we download it as a CSV, can open it up with Excel. Let me just quick share Excel. Here's that data in our sort of raw format. You can just grab out these things that actually are exactly what is called for in the ICF log. Here in the ICF log, you just can, from a fresh log, it's their sort of template right off their site, just paste it right in. Oh dear, I lost something. And then good to go.
And every hour is a paid hour because every client has to pay to be in here.
Well, that's a great point. That's the one thing CoachAccountable doesn't actually know, because we don't track whether it's paid or not. We might be able to do some fancy implicit logic called, did you ever invoice them via CoachAccountable?
Yeah.
Therefore, we should call their hours paid, and if not, they should be unpaid, pro bono. But then again, there are a lot of people who don't use CoachAccountable for the invoicing, but use it for their appointment scheduling. So that's a loose rule anyway. So you would have to sort of do that sort of splitting out as needed. But the bulk of the work is done for you in terms of keeping that log and keeping it fresh and generated anytime you need it to sort of hand if you're audited as you're going through that process. Kind of fun.
So did you modify the hours associated with a group? Because once again, I seem to remember I looked at this one time and you included each person for an hour in the group, but this is perfect the way that you have it here.
Right on. Yeah, one group session attended by 8 people is what you see in this I
think maybe it's in a different area where you look at total hours and it doesn't do this, but I like this a lot.
Nice. Yeah, that might be, when viewing through the lens of a single client, of course you don't divide it by 8 to 8 because they got an hour, but so did 7 other people. So whichever way you slice and dice it will give you a 1 or an 8 out of it.
Let's see if I can find where I'm thinking about. This is great though. I love this.
Nice. All right. Let's go on to what's next. Number 6, computed values. We just kind of slid this one very much on the sly. I think, actually, Jerry, I think it was one of your colleagues had just sort of made a request. I'm like, hey, this could be kind of cool. Let me just add that. All right, let's go look at a worksheet, because this is basically a new sort of form-based input. So we're going to go to my library and worksheets. Let's see here. I just kind of made a fun one I call the Wheel of Life check-in. I mean, super common thing, all the areas of life, how you doing? And let's say we're going to do this on, say, a 5-point scale. And we kind of make a little coding here and got this sort of thing. And, it's not an official one. I mean, I'm just kind of freewheeling a little here. It's probably not really measured in most things, but maybe someone's into Kung Fu. All right, I'm going to add another thing. And wouldn't it be nice to sort of have a total score or maybe an average of these sort of things? So we're just going to add a row to this table here and call it average. We'll play around with this. And we'll delete this guy. But we'll make a new sort of computed value. So again, we do our usual thing of a form-based worksheet, which is to insert a form item. And we're going to do computed value. And we'll call this, I guess, total score. And for the formula, we basically have all these things that we have elsewhere. So family, fitness, work, all of these have sort of input names that we can then use as part of the formula. All right, so family plus fitness plus work plus purpose. Oops, oh dear, what did I do? That's not great. Sorry guys, presenter fail. All right, and then save this and do a little preview. As we fill out the form, the totals will update themselves automatically. Perfect score, 5. And we can do other things. Do formulas with formulas. So let's add another computed value. So maybe we take the total score over 25, right? Because that's the total score that's possible, 5 fives. Maybe multiply that by 100 to give us a percentage. Sorry, I'm a math guy, I'm going really fast, but hopefully that makes a certain sense. So, oops, and that's really big and ugly, and let's just make that a nice little small one. And so again, we can, as we fill this out, computed values just kind of automatically update themselves as you go.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's not Excel spreadsheets, right? It's not fully fledged, but it allows you to do some simple arithmetic that allows you to sort of visualize and sort of give at a glance and look for other things. Another fun fact is that you can then use these computed values to in turn pipe into metrics. So you could have a metric that is your, percent of awesome per the wheel of life that includes roundhouse kicks for some reason. And it just sort of will generate itself as people fill out these worksheets on a routine basis.
Is that in our instructional stuff on the right-hand side yet? Like how to do that for dummies?
No. You mean the little help icon, help center stuff. Let's see here. Yeah, I guess we could augment our thing. So, I mean, everything to do with form-based worksheets is here. But yes, I think computed value merits a little addition in here so that you have it. Good one.
It's on the blog.
Okay, cool. Great. Thank you.
I can quickly put it in that article too.
Wonderful.
Yeah, Morgan, if you chat the blog article link to the group here, that'd be perfect. Any other questions about computed values?
I have a lot of questions about what this whole page that you went through. I saw something that you just did that drove me absolutely bonkers, and I didn't know you could do it. Can you just slowly walk through how to add a row or a column to the table? Because I have never discovered that, and it's been driving me crazy.
Oh, sure. So I'm in a table, right? If I'm outside of a table and I click the table icon, all there's to do is like, table? You want to add a table? Cool, let's add a table. Not what I want to do. When I go inside a table, though, it's like tables. Well, we can do some table stuff. You want to edit the table? Do you want to add a no row? Do you want to modify the row? Do you want to delete the row? And same with the columns.
Wow. So I had to teach myself HTML to figure out how to add these because I didn't know that existed.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, one of the cool things about
I was literally going to put a request in to have you guys do that. Wow, that's awesome.
Nice. Glad we covered that. There's another gem on earth. Yeah, the most common thing that I could see someone needing this, because it's super rare. I haven't even thought to ever think that that's cool, so glad you called it out, Damon. Editing column lets you do a width for it. So
that's even better. Holy smokes, you just made my month.
Nice.
Seriously, that's awesome. Wow.
Hey, John, actually, this is Gabriel. I wanted to chime.
All right. Cool. Well, glad we got that covered too. Anything else? Any other gems before I move on? Any other...
This is Gabriel, actually. No?
One more and I'll take a glance out. All right. Let's go to the next thing. This one's a little more bread and butter, not quite ninja, but I fear it may be missed all the same, and that is pre- and post-appointment worksheets. I think these are just so good. If you don't do it already, you might just sort of do an audit of like, hey, maybe I should add this. When you are setting up your appointment types, we'll do a new one just to kind of take it from scratch. Maybe it's your monthly calls. Call it 60 minutes. Padding, we'll worry about that later. Well, I like as a general rule 15 minutes to give myself a little window to type up session notes. That's just me. Standard reminders, as you guys all know. Client, me. I love getting a text about 10 minutes before, but that's not the point. The point is these worksheets here. Assign a pre-worksheet with this appointment and assign a post-worksheet with these appointments. You can pick when you say, yes, I do want one, you just pick one from your library. Seems like we got a lot of these duplicated, but whatever. Your accounts come preloaded with a pre-session check-in. And these defaults are great, but generally the whole point of the pre-appointment worksheet is, well, your time is precious with the people you talk to. So the value you give them often is just kind of limited to that session time that you have, which is hourly with your own time, which doesn't scale the best. What you can do to augment that presence is, well, get them thinking about the work they're doing with you. Get them excited to talk to you tomorrow. Get them to sort of reflect on how it's going based on the stuff you talked about last time. Get them a chance to, self-evaluate and and share with you, here's what I'm excited about, here's where I'm stuck, here's what I want to talk to you about tomorrow. And that will sort of bring, shall we say, the sprinkled fairy dust magic of your coaching into other parts of the week that you're not actually talking to them, but get them primed for it. It gives more value to them as a sort of way to, bring your coaching to more parts of their life and have them have an opportunity to make sure that they act on what they said they would do last time, so they can come in feeling like empowered versus like, I forgot all these things and let's pick up the pieces. And it gives you a window into, well, how is my client doing? What are they struggling with? What do they want to get out of this session? So that you can kind of contemplate on that, even for just a few minutes before you get onto the phone with them. And so that sort of level of preparedness, both for them and for you, and them whetting their appetites to talk to you, is just kind of a magical value add that the system will just give you automatically by virtue of letting them just do a little quick exercise where they know you're paying attention and interested in what you have to say. So that's the pre-thing. I highly recommend it. The one your account is loaded with is a good starting point, if not worth using outright. But if you don't like it, by all means, please remix it and make something that's not going to be cumbersome, but something that's going to get them excited to talk to you, and have it sent out not too far before. Similarly, and this can be either redundant or complementary depending on your viewpoint and how you frame it for your clients. The post worksheet also has power to bring your coaching and the gems of it more into their lives, beyond just those precious times of your sessions. Letting them sort of reflect. Again, your account comes with a preloaded template, but letting them reflect on, well, what did I get? What were the key takeaways? What do I really want to, make sure that is solidified? Let me take my own stock, take my own notes, as it were, out of what I got from that call with you. Let your clients do that with, again, sort of like a sort of automated with no extra work for you, but let them, again, digest and assimilate the knowledge and wisdom that they got from you. That's the magic of the post one, which again lets them sort of take their own notes, share those impressions with you, and further solidify the insights gained. So I think they're both great. Make them light, but also engaging in a way that's like, oh, this is nice. I'm glad I took those 3 extra minutes to do a little more work within the scope of my coaching program with my coach, because it's bringing it more into my life. That's my appeal for that. Any questions about pre and post worksheets? The mindset.
No questions, but I love these.
Sweet.
Yeah, really, really great.
Right on. How's it been for your people? Have they taken to it? Are they regular with it? Do they appreciate it?
Yeah, they're doing really good with it. I've moved over like 6 of my clients so far, and this is actually feedback before coming to CoachAccountable that my clients, wanted something more in regard to that, and so it's really exciting to be able to give them that. And I just feel like it brings more intentionality to their relationship. And it really informs me as the coach, right? Because sometimes after a coaching call, you might not have a total gauge on what they got, or that little negative thinking might creep in, feeling like, something was missing. And then you get their feedback form and you're like, whoa, I was way off base. Like they took away a lot, and it really gives you a lot of insight on both ends.
It's awesome. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. Very cool.
John, I have to hop off. Great stuff. Love the program. I agree with Carla on what she just shared. I work with a lot of teens, and I never thought kids would fill out the short forms. and they love it because, you know, teens don't like to write. And click, 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 or even sometimes I get some really, really interesting insight into them when they have a chance to just sit down and give their thoughts, you know, to someone other than their parents. But I just wanted to applaud you because I love that your personal touch. I love that you do this to help all of us. So I'm going to continue to grow. I have a lot on my list already, but I have to hop off for an appointment. So thank you.
Awesome. Judy, you're most welcome.
Give that Morgan a raise. She's my hero. She got me there.
I think one's in the hopper. Absolutely. She's totally worth it, isn't she? She's great.
She is.
Cool. Thanks so much for being here, Judy.
All right.
Thanks, Judy.
All right.
So I have another question back at the screenshot where you were building a form.
Yeah.
And I know you can answer this in 2 seconds, and if you do, it'll probably be my last remaining frustration that isn't there. So I want to put some text below the comments box. I don't know how to get my okay. When I put a field at the very bottom of something I build, I don't know how to get my cursor to the bottom.
Maybe some WYSIWYG jank. Let's see what we can do. See if there's something on me here that I might do. This was actually an issue with tables inserted at the bottom, and then I put something in to make sure always a line break so you could get down there. So maybe I got the same fix is called for here. So let's just do this.
Damon, what I do, guys, is I just put two new lines before I do the.
I do, but I forget sometimes.
So putting it, here's the thing, clicking, that worked okay. But your nuclear option is just put your cursor where near it and then hit the down arrow a few times. I think that'll always jump you to the very end and give you some more editable space so you can keep going. And I apologize for that jank. Let me make a mental note to put a line break in automatically so that Morgan's essential hack is done for you of having, again, a little more space below so you never get in that sort of weird bind.
Can you do, and I think it's the same thing within the table up above. Like how do if I want to put some text after that form field, how do I do it?
Stealth and ninja. Like, so I'm clicking and you can't see my cursor, but if I hit enter 1 or 2 times, oh, I have no idea where I am now. Interesting. There we go. Eventually you get out of it. That's the thing with floated elements. They kind of are hugging this thing, which means the cursor wants to go opposite it. And if you hit enter a few times, you should be able to get out of it. Yes, so far not bad. Yeah.
How are you doing that?
I'm batting about 600. So here I am. I click, hit enter twice, and I'm in business. Give it a little breathing room. But if I click here and just start typing, I'm there. Like click at the end of it. I mean, look at how I've got this done with the width of it. You can see there's a little space here. This region is anywhere I can click here and kind of be in business and be fine. If it was tighter, hugging the edges, it might be a little trickier.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll play with that a little bit more. Sounds like other people have struggled with it as well. So
we hear reports of it, and it's sporadic. That's the thing. Like, the difference between why can't I do it is oftentimes like just one, like clicking just the right place and hitting the arrows just the right way and hitting enter at the right point. There's some fudginess with it as kind of WYSIWYGs are largely flying by. And I do the best I can to get rid of any jank. So appreciate the reports of it. And again, that sort of feedback lets me know where can I put in safeguards to avoid it.
Hey, John, this is actually Gabriel. Sorry, I think my mic was totally messed up, so sorry about that earlier. But I wanted to ask a question about this on where you're making a worksheet template and then you're putting this table together. And I'm really curious, like I heard that it's possible to be able to integrate this as into like your metrics. So like you make a table and you're having somebody fill out these areas of their life. So for me, I'd be looking at things like pain and stress and different areas. How do you integrate that so that the scores that they might be filling out might be able to plug into a metric that you might have created? That's a great one. This is the topic of piping worksheet answers into metrics. It's kind of in depth, but basically here's the long and short of it is, see how we give this a name?
family. And family is going to give a value when someone fills it out, 0, 1, 2, or 3, or 5. There's a bunch of rules for how we determine the score that a given answer should be. So when you're creating a metric, there's a little link that says pipe answers into this metric from worksheet. And it says like from where, and you type in family, or it'd be in the auto suggest options of things you can do. But the answer to what you're looking for, the long form essay, which is definitely a worthy read because it'll give you some great ideas on how to put this all together, is piping, where is it? There we go, piping worksheet answers into metrics.
Okay, gotcha.
Off of here in the Tactical blog, this is one of the best of. It covers a lot of ground and ties together metrics, worksheets, form-based stuff, and courses. Beautiful. Check it out.
Perfect. Excellent. Thank you.
You bet. All right. Next up, number 9, the referral program. This one's a little self-serving, but maybe not. If you go to the My Account, basically CoachAccountable, CoachAccountable has a referral plan. We do everything we can to make this a system that people will love and try to be engaging and human and all this stuff and do this sort of thing. Like, we want you to be super happy. And if you are, and you want to spread the love to your colleagues, we're happy to give you a tasteful kickback for doing that, spreading of the love. So that's the referral program. Basically, from the My Account page, you get a referral program, and with a couple of clicks, I'll just go through it here. You can basically link your existing CoachAccountable subscription to a referral account. It already knows who you are, so you just say, hey, what country are you in? United States for taxes purposes. Read the privacy policy and the terms of service. It's kind of boring. One thing I will say about the terms of service, you might want to give it a read because it does say like, you can't self-deal yourself. You can't like refer yourself and get yourself a discount, or you can't refer your own company and get the thing, but whatever. If you're genuinely sharing with other people, you're good to go. You hit let's go, and then you're on your way. Basically, you're given a link, and that's basically yours to sprinkle around social media on guest posts that you write, articles, to your email list, whatever, and people click it. The system will know, oh, so-and-so, was referred by John Larson, and if they sign up, you'll get an email right away that says, hey, so-and-so signed up. If you know them, maybe you want to help them, get comfortable and familiar, and if not, otherwise carry on, and if they turn into a paying customer, you get a kickback. Basically, it comes as you get half of whatever they paid for their first month, and then 5% each additional month. Pretty simple, but just a way to spread the love if you're into it. And then we can go back here. All right, that's number 8. Number 9, client booking rules. For a given client, you can basically set now with finer granularity, are they allowed to book with you, or are they not? Let's say Julie Sanders. I might want to specifically say, I don't do one-on-ones with you. And this is a nice way to sort of have a multi-tiered sort of approach to your clients. A common pattern is you can have sort of like the lowest tier is like, buy my course, automated delivery of materials, and sort of gives you a sense of my style and what my expertise and all that sort of thing. And then the next tier up might be, you're in the group participation course where you're on a group call with me and a sort of mastermind and that sort of thing, but you're still not in the one-on-one area of like coaching. So it would be inappropriate for you to schedule appointments with me, even though I want in general CoachAccountable to let my clients book with me. And then the top tier would be, cool, we're doing one-on-one coaching, and yes, you can book with me. So when it comes to client booking rules, you've got under their settings, this new section here, which dictates, when are they allowed, when is a given client allowed to book with you? Never, or only within the limits of engagement, or, and this is sort of the default from back in the day when engagement didn't exist, they're always allowed unless the engagement says otherwise. And then of course there's an organization-wide setting which you can default to, and that is set within engagements, basic settings. So we go to engagements, basic options. Here's the default rule, which again can be overridden on a per client basis, of when are clients allowed to schedule with me. And so there's that. Basically, again, what that makes possible is sort of a segmentation of your clients of some are allowed to book with you one-on-one and some are not until they move up to the next level of what you offer.
I have a question that's kind of related and kind of not. Is there a way when you're setting up a client call to like have a default setting for reminders? Like I have a client who he wants, you know, a text like 30 minutes before, and then other clients might be different or have a different preference. Is there a way to store that? Like I've just been putting it in my notes area so I remember, but I was just curious if there is any other way.
There's not. That's actually a good question. I mean, there's something powerful because basically, as you know, appointment types allow you to set your default reminders for everyone. But again, that's sort of for everyone. There's no sort of splicing appointment types into on a per client basis, which would, you know, offer a lot of flexibility for what you're talking for, but also be really complicated. The best thing I could suggest to that is take advantage of the ability to schedule a series with one person. So with that one individual who likes to have a text 30 minutes before, if it makes sense to do sort of a series approach with that person, i.e., yeah, we always talk on Tuesdays at 4 p.m. So let's say Jamie Bear likes that particular style of reminders. So we'll say, you know, it's Tuesday at 4 p.m. Here's the default ones, but that's not what my client likes. My client likes this, and oh, that's actually set up there. But you could customize it and then do the usual, and then make a series. So you're doing this work of setting them just right for your client's particular tastes. And then you can just do the next 12 out, you know, for the next 3 months, once a week. And then that work of customizing it for that person is done once and then set in motion for the next 12 appointments.
Cool.
Well, and can't they add their own and change their own as well?
They can. I think, you know, Carly, you're coming from a good place of great customer service of wanting to sort of have it knocked out for them. But yeah, that's another thing, Carly, that you can tell someone that, you know, once these appointments are scheduled, you can tweak the reminders as you see fit.
So what all can they can tweak the reminders on calls, and what else?
Pretty much anything that's them facing. So reminders for actions, reminders for worksheets that you set in motion for them. You have the power to set reminders for both you and them, and they in turn have the power to set reminders just for them. They won't be able to mess with your reminders that you have set, but they can modify, add, or delete any reminders that you have set for them for these.
Okay, cool.
John, a query on the sequence of scheduled events there. I can imagine a situation where that might be useful for us. Of course, 12 weekly coaching calls, each at 4 o'clock on a particular day, might be a challenge in terms of vacation, annual leave, and so on. I'm guessing that there's no correlation here with diary availability. That there's no, you can't do this unless there's something already in the diary.
Yeah, so CoachAccountable doesn't look into your client's schedule, but it does look into yours. And when you're booking this series, it'll let you know if there are any conflicts.
So I would schedule appointments, and it would come back and indicate one or more conflicts, which I would then be given a choice as to whether I accept or not.
Right. And I think I could be wrong, but I think it's sort of all or nothing. So you could go all and then say like, okay, it just told me I've got something on March 7th that's not going to work. So let me just modify this one or cancel this one out specifically.
So in effect, if I were scheduling out a sequence of 10 calls to a client, because that's what we've agreed, I could do that 10 on a weekly basis. But if the conflict scheduler identified 2 conflicts, I would then use this to modify those 2, after which the sequence would be in place.
Exactly. You get all 10 in and then make any modifications or cancellations. Because again, maybe 4 won't work on this particular day. We just move it to 3, and then you're back in business.
Thank you.
There you go. Good one.
So I don't have a ton of clarity on what I'm about to ask, but I've been thinking about it the past couple of days. So could you go into the appointment configuration window? And then appointment types. Actually, first thing, back at the basic options, I've noticed that when I allow people to schedule an appointment through an offering, it does not give me the ability to confirm or deny that appointment, to accept that appointment. And it would be nice to do that because I've had
That's on purpose. And I mean, let's hash this out and see if I've made a poor choice in this. But I figure when you're making an offering, you're offering it up to prospective clients, they're self-serving from your website, it's drawing from your availability rules and your synchronized calendar.
Yep.
Those are legit. If anyone books into those, you're like, cool, come on in, a perspective. I don't ever want to sort of have my website say, here, book with me anytime, and then come back and like, actually, no, sorry.
Yeah.
That would make an incredibly poor first impression, I think.
Yeah.
So I think you want to be careful with your offerings and, again, managing your schedule so that you can have confidence that if they go through the front door and book according to this automated system that you have in place that is being your virtual thing, that you can honor that. Of course, if you need to, you know, come back and like, actually something came up, can we move it to this time? That's going to come up. But as a general rule, I think it's fair for the software to assume that these are automatically accepted because that's what you put out there to the world on your website as, hey, book with me. Here's when I'm available.
Okay.
Can you explain what like booking through an offering, what that means from your website? I don't think I know about that.
Oh, sure. Offerings are killer.
Oh man, Carly, you're in for a treat.
Oh, I think it's a fan. So an offering basically is the ability to put a little widget on your website that lets people either sign up for a prospective call or a program with you or a group membership, and or they can purchase and pay for it. So an offering, again, you just go settings, offerings, and you'll see what we can do here. We've got an extensive blog post that covers all of it, and the inline help system, again, will sort of walk.
Cool, thank you. I will check it out.
Right on.
But if you, Carla, if you're using Calendly or Acuity or anything like that, you're wasting your money. You don't need
well, I've thought about that, and I haven't looked into it enough to know that. So that's good to hear because I am paying for a
yeah, and this is CoachAccountable is actually less money than they are.
Yeah, I'm actually going to chime in as well, Carla, because that's a similar thing. I've been using another service, Schedulicity, and it's kind of tricky to be able to synchronize the two. I almost have more of a front end and then a back end, but now I didn't even know about this. So this actually clarifies for it that I can actually create this. And then John, like you said, so there's the ability to be able to have like a little bit of a widget that I could put on my website, and then it synchronizes all to the same calendar and system then.
Right on.
That's great.
Nice.
This is killer. The benefit of having it all integrated in one system for me is, man, I can put them in groups. I can start them on courses. I can send up automatic email sequences. I can know from the very second that I started interacting with them, I can know their history. I can see if they're reading this is just killer. I can
I want to hear more about that. Not right now, but I would love to hear what you're doing.
Yeah, this is the game.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Right. We're almost through the 10 handy things. We might need to rename this webinar to 10 or to 11 or 12, depending how we go. But yeah, and then we will open up the floor to just riff about whatever.
So I do have one comment. So if we can go back to the appointment configuration.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, appointment types. So go ahead and, okay, so you have visibility, yes, no. I want to have, how do I say this? I want external coaches, like I offer a free coaching call, okay, a free intake call. I want my offering to allow people to schedule that, but I don't want anybody that's a current client to be able to schedule that.
Yep.
That's
so the presence of offerings overrides this thing. So you basically say no, clients are not allowed to schedule this one, but it's part of an offering. And so the offering's like, oh, you totally want your prospective clients who are purchasing this offering or signing up for this offering to schedule. So yeah, anything you put in the offering as an appointment type gets to trump this thing. So you should turn that free intro call off. I mean, it might be more appropriate to change this copy here to allow current clients to schedule themselves.
Yeah, that might.
Then it'd be clear that it's not affecting the prospectives that are the ones who go through the front door, as it were, of the offerings.
Okay, that's good. And then the only other thing, and I noticed this because I scheduled somebody with Acuity the other day. I thought it was kind of cool that it gave a little link that says add this to your calendar after they scheduled it.
Oh,
okay.
So the confirmation email that your clients got?
No, it was when I was scheduling for somebody else, or I was requesting a schedule, and I went through Acuity, I think, and I scheduled the meeting, and it said, "Congratulations, you're scheduled. Would you like to add this to your calendar?" Button, click, added it to my Google Calendar. Done. Just a
So
nice,
again, so you know that CoachAccountable will do that when you've got your own calendar synced,
Yeah.
so that all your CoachAccountable appointments. So you're saying for the client who's just booked themselves with you.
brand new client outside, just booked appointment with me. They want to add it to their calendar.
Well, Peter's nonverbal communication is confirming for me that that is a good idea. I like the little noddings. And I think here's the thing, all the plumbing's there for that sort of thing to come in with their email confirmation that they get as an attachment. And the so-called ICS attachment that allows a calendar program to pick it up and put it right there.
I nearly commented earlier on. We use Calendly as well as CoachAccountable. We use CoachAccountable exclusively with, or we're just beginning to use CoachAccountable exclusively with clients, but we use Calendly for people who are not clients. So a prospect wants to do something with me, or somebody else, a supplier, whatever, and we use Calendly, and the capacity from the Calendly, and I suspect like Acuity, the capacity to add that immediately to the to a calendar, and typically it's the 3 calendars. It's Google,
Apple, Outlook.
So that's very much +1 for that. Anything we can do to take friction out for the coaching client.
All about that. That's a good insight.
Yeah, and I would say right after the welcome screen, if you could have those buttons, like just literally they're right there. They did it. Click. Done. That's what the other one did, and it was just a nice touch.
Right on. I'm familiar with it being a sort of email attachment. I'd have to look into what it is to have a web link that then did that sort of, again, piping in of calendar data into a given calendar.
Yeah, even the email would be fantastic. I mean, either way, it's just a nice touch.
Yeah, right on. I'm for it. Good one, guys. Let me just put that on the docket. I don't know if you guys know this, but Damon made, I don't know, 2, maybe 3, possibly even 4 feature suggestions last webinar, and they're all in there now.
And they're all in there, which is thank you. Thank you for that.
It's part of half the fun of doing these. Good one. All right, anything else before we move on? The last little trick, it's a nice little bite-sized nugget. All right. Bulk sharing from your library. Sometimes you have a new library file, maybe it's a key video that you want everyone to have, and you could go through every client and just kind of go there and go to the library and plus share file from my library and get this kitty in a hammock video for image. It's very important. But maybe you want to share it with everybody really quick. In the past, the other ways to do this in bulk would be set up as a course and then put everyone in the course, or create a group and then share the file with the group. More lightweight than all of that now is sort of the subtle, easy to miss thing called go right to files. If everyone needs that cat in a hammock picture, you load it up and share this file. Who do you want to share with? Actually, I want to share with several clients. Select them all, and it's done. You can send everyone a notification email in the same usual sense, and there you go.
Would that include groups, John?
No, but you shouldn't need groups, because then you just share as a group item real quick.
Yes.
Because again, this is sort of like going one step beyond in terms of streamlinability for groups. But yeah, the groups problem itself is already pretty well handled. So if you got a group of 100 people, you just share with that group and all 100 get it that way. And that's it. There's our 10 handy things in plain sight. We could have added more. I had to take a little time to make sure that the whole presentation didn't devolve into feature X, feature Y, feature Z, because there's tons of things that are, again, easy to look over. Just as we saw, it's easy to miss, oh, offerings exists? Huh. Thanks, Carl, for generously volunteering that, because it's a super common occurrence that things that are here in standard and have been here for a while, if you don't know to look for them, are easy to miss. So we got some nice little nuggets on radar and off radar, and I hope that's been useful. Any questions, comments, or anything else people want to talk about?
Yeah, I just wanted to pipe in and really just say that I totally even missed the offerings thing, and I really think that's fantastic. That's such a great thing to be able to integrate like that, and it's kind of the nature of just simplicity in general. Is if I don't have to use a bunch of different things, and I can try to use one. That's amazing. So that was a great learning.
Nice. One of the things that's on radar for us to do, Gabriel, that kind of, your and Carla's experience is sort of making now painfully obvious, is to remix the whole user onboarding experience. You're a new coach signing up for CoachAccountable. We present you with a lot of information, but also do this really delicate dance of not trying to overwhelm you with it too much. So kind of coming up with a nice digestible thing of how to do. David, you got to go?
Yeah, I've got to go. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I got a meeting. So thank you. This was
all
awesome.
good. Thanks so much for being on the line. Catch you later. Bye.
Yeah, John, that makes a lot of sense for sure, as far as a little bit more of an onboarding and then kind of like step by step and then just walking through. These are some of the main pieces to be aware of, but definitely, yeah, that one's fantastic. Yeah.
It's great. Yeah, we've added so much since we truly last thought through and designed our onboarding process that it deserves sort of a, shall we say, a new remixing of the editorial culling and selecting of what should be presented more prominently and what shouldn't. So yeah, it's good to know. Yeah, so that sort of insight of, hey, wow, that's really useful. And I had no idea.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's fantastic. You guys are doing great work. I can see how quickly you're changing things too, which is awesome.
Thank you, sir. Yeah. I mean, here's a fun thing. Yesterday, we wrote this up on the blog to sort of share some of the internal workings of CoachAccountable. We have a little ritual called Morgan's the Boss. Every week for 3 hours, Morgan's the boss, and she just tells me what to do. She brings her perspective on, like, here's what the people are saying as I dole out my customer love and support. Here's what would be cool. Can you add this? Yeah, because it comes from her. She's in tune with the step of, what people are dealing with, just like you guys are sharing with us. She's like, can you make it so you can clone an offering? I'm like, yeah, I can. I'll see you in 5 minutes. And so now we have a little clone button for offering.
That's great.
This is useful actually to do a pattern that has kind of come into vogue, shall we say, which is you have essentially the same offering, but you have 2 different pricing packages. The lump sum cost comes at a little discount, or you can get the installment plan. So you can design one, clone it, and then create the other, and then create a bundle, which is basically allowing you to sort of choose your own, where you just pick some offerings from the things. Whoops, it's not too interesting because they're 2 clones of each other, but you get the gist. And then that itself becomes a bundle that people can sort of pick which one they want of the 2 plans that you offer. And then once they choose, they can then book and so on and do all the cool things that offerings do. But yeah, so ergo cloning, new things. We're having fun. Thanks for noticing. Anything else on anyone's mind? We're just over the hour mark. We can go as long as we like, or we can wrap it up whenever.
Thank you, John. I'm going to sign off. Really appreciate your help and work.
Right on. My pleasure. Good to see you, Jerry. Have a great rest of your Saturday. No, wait.
Yeah, I got to sign off myself. But John, that was fantastic. Thank you also for just walking through and all the details. So you guys are doing great. So keep it up.
Thank you, sir. Gabriel, you're most welcome. Good to meet you.
Yeah, likewise.
John, I have an observation.
Yes, sir.
Jean and I we had this session with our client yesterday, and we were talking about CoachAccountable. We've just concluded to commit significantly more to CoachAccountable in terms of putting CoachAccountable at the heart of what we're doing. This was Jean coaching me in where priority lies, and it was interesting. A quotation occurred to me which seems highly relevant. I'm sure that a lot of us will be aware of this quotation. I think it's John Culkin. First we shape our tools, then our tools shape us. And it's a quotation that I came across some years ago, and I did a bit of research on it. And apparently, it originates with Winston Churchill speaking about the Houses of Westminster, the Parliament in the UK. And Churchill during the war said, first we shape our buildings, then our buildings shape us. And it was to do with the bombing and the Blitz and so on. But this whole theme that we shape tools, then the tools shape us. And John, there is absolutely no doubt that in terms of what we're doing with clients, CoachAccountable is shaping what we are doing significantly. And the processes that you have coded, your coaching style that you have coded into CoachAccountable is shaping all that we're now doing. It's enabling us to manage expectations that much more explicitly, and our ability to the knowledge that we know we will be able to automate everything that should be automated, We know that that's available to us, which will, of course, enable us to continue to create the greatest value with limited time. So the tool is shaping what we're doing, and thank you.
Wow, that is deep acknowledgement. Thank you, Peter. That's huge. I mean, if I may speak to that, one of the things that we recognize we have as an opportunity is to sort of share best practices. One of the things that I just covered today, the pre and post appointment worksheets. CoachAccountable allows that, makes that possible, but I bet you the lion's share of coaches out there don't have any sort of structure. So the opportunity, based on, again, to your point, what I've kind of coded in here is you can adopt that practice because the tool enables it.
It's available.
And if that makes you better, we're really doing our job. We're not just solving the problems and itches that you already know to have, but we're enabling you to sort of up your game and make your style that much more refined and powerful.
And because it's coded, because it's process. Have we all come across this new book, Atomic Habits? Have we strong recommendation for the book published February? It was published last November. Atomic Habits, and it's the best available book currently on this whole theme of habits. It's not what we think about; it's what we build in. And he speaks of creating habits that we then stack for incremental improvement. And it was the GB cycling team that went for incremental gains, 1% changes. So the whole deal with CoachAccountable, John, is that that we prove what works, and then we can retain that in every subsequent engagement. And we're continuously doing the A/B testing, split testing about what works. It's a great platform.
Atomic Habits, very good. Yeah, I mean, to that whole testing, that's why we're so keen to keep an ear open to what the community is saying is working and what they would like to see it do in addition, because that again sort of constitutes a sussing out of best practices that are then going to be made available more widespread from the codification that is being done in CoachAccountable. So keep them ideas coming, I guess that's my long-winded way of saying that. That's great. Very good. Well, what a note to end on. Anyone else throw anything else in, or are we good?
I would love to just know I'm getting ready to offer a more like a self-study program or a blended program, and I'm just curious if people are using CoachAccountable to do that. I mean, it looks like it would be great for that, but I just was curious if anybody's doing that.
Is that sort of like how courses allows you to do sort of that self-paced stuff with the interactive bits and sort of drip out the material?
Yes.
Yeah, Paula, we have a ton of people doing that actually, where people have different levels of coaching, and like sort of the lowest and most affordable one is a completely self-serve thing. You build the course once and people can just pay for it and automatically with an offering get put into that. And then, if they like your style, then they can sort of upgrade to group or one-on-one. But yeah, we actually have one really big client who does only that. Like they have just a couple different self-study courses, and that's the coaching they do. They say that we don't want to talk to anybody, so they just have those courses, and they've got a really good success rate with those.
Awesome. And then as far as groups, in a group, can you allow, like, does everybody see each other's stuff, or is that customizable? And
it's up to you. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's some fun settings. They can either not know they're part of a group at all, or see that like here's how the group is doing. Like you might have a group worksheet, or excuse me, a group metric, and everyone can see like the total for the group as is pulling. Or you can go one step further, total transparency. Everyone can see everyone else's numbers. And in some circumstances, that's not appropriate because people might feel but in others, it's awesome because there's a sort of like total transparency, leaderboard style, almost very positive pissing contest of like the peer pressure to perform can be really empowering for everyone. And that level of transparency, it lays sort of a gamification of whatever you're leading them through. So,
can they read each other's journals and worksheets, and like, do they have a choice to share that?
You as coach, well, yeah, there's actually a couple dimensions of that. So if you give a group worksheet where everyone's going to, do the reflections and work on the same worksheet, and like 10 people are all going to do it. Again, you can sort of like show off like, hey, here's how many people got it done out of 10 and 2 people have it late and we don't know who, but that's the group performance. Or again, the setting of individual performance called everyone can see everyone else's worksheets, which can again be inappropriate or really powerful for like group conversations and comparing notes, and then having it be a forum, a mini conversation forum that breaks out over that exercise. And again, this is something you set on a per group basis when you're doing group items, like group assignments, group worksheets, and so on. Or people can be doing their individual stuff and then choose to share any given item with a group that they're participating in. Hey, I just journaled this over here. I'd like the group to see it and make comments on it, or let's have a conversation I want to share. Those are all those degrees of freedom are present.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think so. Nice.
I have a follow-up query to Carla, if I may. We have been subscribing to an online video training platform for quite some time, and I keep wanting to get the video courses up and running. We want an academy for the area that we're working in, and I haven't quite got it working yet because it's going to take time, and every month goes by, and it's another month where I've paid the subscription and haven't been using the service. But there we go. Under what I suppose the question here is, we signed up to that prior to getting so stuck into CoachAccountable. How would I judge when to create a course in CoachAccountable as opposed to creating the sort of course that you will know is available to be able to be created on a video training platform? We use Thinkific. We subscribe to Thinkific. Thinkific have been taking our money for 18 months. Should I be continuing with that with that strategy, or should I actually pivot and instead create courses in CoachAccountable?
Is that a question to me or Carla?
Either or. Yeah. Or indeed, Morgan, if you have observations to make, any contributions gratefully received.
I think that's more on you and what you feel is working best for you. It sounds like Thinkific isn't working for you, just from what you've said.
It's a great platform, really effective, lovely professional delivery of Wistia videos, really nice sequential. It's got a lovely interface for frictionless course progress. It's just I'm about to invest a lot of time developing some courses and an academy, which can be made available in a range of ways. And of course, a different route is either doing it all in CoachAccountable, or I suppose I'm picking up Carla's word, blended, and how to differentiate which route fits what platform or tool. I'm clearly reflecting on it, and the judgment here will be based on my sense of what our stakeholders, what our clients will secure most value from.
Mm-hmm. You can embed those Wistia videos in a CoachAccountable course really easily. So if it turns out, I would guess that you'd be spending more of your time investment on making the videos themselves, and then creating the course with those in CoachAccountable probably won't take that long. I don't know how long Thinkific would take. And it could be that you A/B test with that and set both up, and I can help you if, if you're like, hey, how do I get these videos in there? It really is super simple. And then they're automatically delivered, or they're dependent on each other, or, unit-based, or however you want to set that up. But I think that really is more of a thing for you to decide what fits your people better, what fits you better, and just like what makes you happier.
Morgan, I think you've hit the nail on the head with your observation that clearly the route is split test, and to identify the training need, do it on both platforms and test it with clients. That's a good observation. Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, the good news there is Morgan's absolutely right. The lion's share of your work, I think, is creating the videos. Once that's done, you just sprinkle them through in CoachAccountable. And if you've played with CoachAccountable courses, you can have files as part of the timeline, and then the whole notion of completion, as we covered earlier, watch this and then you get this and so on. But you can also embed videos into worksheets. So maybe it would be useful to use a CoachAccountable worksheet, which is like, here's a video and here's some questions about it. There's reminders and due dates and piping into metrics and all those other fun things CoachAccountable does. And even just making a dummy course that's only 1 week duration of your course. take whatever the first week of those videos you've created as hosted in Wistia, set those up in CA and just drip it to yourself and see how you like it. And then again, run it with a couple of clients. But cool to have options. Yeah, I mean, I think, Morgan, you knocked it out of the park being, shall we say, a biased professional giving an unbiased assessment. We're totally biased.
I have a suggestion.
Let's hear it.
Peter was talking about automation, and I think it would be really cool to hear like how other coaches using the system are automating things for themselves, because that's something I'm really up to this year, is figuring out how do I maximize my time and where can I automate things that I might not even be thinking about can be automated in CoachAccountable. So it'd be cool to hear different ways people are using CoachAccountable to automate tasks.
And that would be a great webinar topic.
Yeah, and I was actually the same thing. I remember the very first webinar that I attended, some people were actually showing their systems, and I learned a lot in those very few minutes that opened up their back end to see how they were using the service, because I still feel I use about 5% of the true potential of this platform.
I think that would be juicy.
So much, but if there was even a best practices webinar where you invited some of the top people that are using this in very innovative and dynamic ways and have it facilitated by Morgan, it would be brilliant.
I should not be the only one prattling on for presentation mode. That'd be great. I'm for it. I think we got a topic for February then. This is great. Automation, start your stuff and sharing your best practices. Yeah, we could write a book on that in terms of what we know. But to your point, David, like people actually being, feeling comfortable to share their screen and just showing off certain things. Damon just left, but one of the emails he sent us, and I don't think he'd mind me sharing this, I'll check on him later, is he went to sleep and he woke up and someone had paid for his services, money hit his account, and they were already set in motion and it was already piped into his calendar. Like there's a sense of like, wow, autopilot goodness that came from him doing that work of setup, and now he's just good to go. So yeah, this is great. Thanks, guys. That little dummy action that I put in earlier about come up with a good presentation for the next webinar. Mark that action.